welcome aboard here, folks, to Fox Sports on the Road. Michael Cohen here with you, and we got a very special guest joining us today to talk a little baseball. Of course, we are in the midst of the National League and American League Championship Series. You got the Yankees with a small, right now, 2-1 lead on the Cleveland Guardians. The Mets look like they're about to be eliminated by LA. We'll see. But joining us is Julian Guilarte, and Julian, how you doing, man? How's it been covering, Mets, Yankees, all things that you've been doing lately?
It's been an exciting year for sure. Like, who would have thought we'd have a chance of the Subway Series, even though that looks diminished now. I just know the city will be on fire. Like, we didn't even have social media back then. I don't know if we're going to get to see it, unfortunately. But I was saying the whole time that New York wasn't ready for the Subway Series. I guess they aren't. So, unless the Mets win three straight, the Yankees handle their business. But it would have been really crazy to see like just how far both teams have gone, especially after last year. They both gave nothing to the city. Like this year, they both made up for it. Obviously, there's still more work to do on both sides, but playing baseball into mid October for both squads is probably about the best you could have asked for before the season started.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I remember in 2000, I was like in high school. I think I was like a freshman in high school in 2000 when that World Series happened. And I've told people that, back then it was kind of expected that was happening. Like people kind of felt it was going to happen during the year because both teams were both playing well, and the year before they were both in the LCS, and you just kind of knew it was coming. And the whole Clemens Piazza thing, this, if it had come to pass, and like you said, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but if it had come to pass, nobody expected this to happen. I mean, Mets had no expectations coming into the year. Yankees were like, okay, can they win a playoff series? Can Aaron Boone get over the hump? So, it's just amazing what those two teams have done here this year.
Absolutely. I mean, Yankees, I think, probably had expectations to maybe make it, but it wasn't locked in stone. They started the season great, the best team in the league, and they had that middle swoon that they sometimes hit, and they got it back together towards the end of the year a little bit. So, like, once the field got clear to the Astros and the Orioles, like, I feel like the Yankees had to get to the World Series at least. Like, I think that was the minimum expectation with the AL Central being left, which the Yankees have handled the AL Central well in the playoffs in the recent years. So that always made everyone feel good.
Yeah.
I think like the Tigers would have been possibly tougher than the Guardians too because of Scooble and AJ Hinch and all that. But like the Guardians are still formidable. Their starting pitching's a mess. And that boy was good yesterday. They're carried by their bullpen and a few good hitters, but hey, obviously it's a series again, 2-1 instead of 3-0. So we'll see how the Yankees hold it tonight if Hill could get going. And then if I tossed over to the Mets, I mean, it's just been a roller coaster all year. Like you just think about everything that's happened. Like they have to go play a doubleheader in Atlanta just to make the playoffs. You figure they'll probably split because the Braves need to win a game too, and like it probably wasn't going to be a sweep on either side. But then when Homer gets them through, then Milwaukee they're down to the end, and then Pete Alonso comes up huge after he's been having a little bit of a up and down year. He gets himself going, and then against the Phillies, the Mets are an underdog, and they win in 4 games, and they take Zach Wheeler. He in that game when Wheeler shoved for 7 scoreless, then they wake up after he gets pulled, and you see this all year. And then game one they get smacked, and then game two they return the favor to the Dodgers. But now the last two they've come out flat. Like haven't really seen two bad games in a row from them in a while like this. So like that is a little concerning. It might be bad timing, but they still have an opportunity tonight to go back to
Hmm.
LA. So we'll see if they can get it done and at least give themselves some more hope.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Mets, or at least the Met fan, I'm thinking like they're probably not going to win this series, even if they were, if you're hoping for a, Red Sox like miracle, 04 like miracle, it's probably not going to happen. I don't know if Brandon Nimmo, who has a foot injury, is going to have a bloody sock or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's the next thing, but it, my thought is you've seen so many teams come into Shea or City Field, over the years, come in and clinch and knock the Mets out of the playoffs. Just get it out of City Field. Just let them celebrate in LA. That's really if you're a Met fan, that's what you have to be thinking about right now. I mean, 30 walks, you can't walk 30 batters. I mean, that's what the Mets have done, and they've
It's
left
bad.
like 28 men on base. You do that, you're going to lose, and against a good team like that, that's what would happen.
Yeah, like they've had their opportunities. I really think game three against Walker Bueller was the one to capitalize. I thought the Mets had a pitching advantage but Walker showed up when he had to. It wasn't a great outing, but he was great when he needed to be, and his breaking ball looked way better than we saw in previous rounds. And like, it's a good point about the Mets clinching at home. It was good to see them finally do that against the Phillies. That was the first time in a while that they had finally clinched something at home. I think like over 10 years around, maybe a little less, but like yeah, I see what you're saying. Don't let the Dodgers win three straight. At least let them do it over there if they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And even if the Mets do win tonight, it's definitely still long odds. But as long as you keep the door open, there's always a chance. I think there's been 14 3-1 comebacks, so it's not likely, but it is out there to be done.
Hmm.
The Dodgers pitching is very questionable. If the Mets go back to LA for sure, because you figure they'd have to bullpen it, and then you get Walker again, maybe who's definitely beatable as we saw.
Yeah.
And then the Mets, I'm assuming, will probably go Manaea Sevi if they get that far, which might not be bad. So, I mean, just keep it alive and see what happens. You're not dead until the last out's recorded.
It's kind of like the 2015 World Series when the Mets were like, have Matt Harvey going strong in Game 5 and then they blow it. If they had won it, they would have had DeGrom and Syndergaard in Game 6 and 7. You never know. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a bullpen day. I mean, I think it's kind of funny for what you mentioned about the Dodger pitching, because Dave Roberts, and I mentioned on the broadcast saying that he's really gambling, with these, relying on his bullpen so much. If they blow a game, they haven't done that yet. I mean, he's been playing with fire all postseason, because they're starting pitching issues. Um, to me, if you're the Dodgers, you got to win this. You want to avoid a game seven as much as possible, because if you get into a game seven, even if you win it, now you're really stretched thin going into a series against the Yankees, who are right now starting to get hot.
It's yeah, no, like it's definitely the Dodgers want to end it tonight and get their pitching situated as best as they can with only three starting pitchers remaining for them. Just crazy. They spent $1 billion and they can't even put up a starting rotation still because all the pitching injuries. They even do the trade for Jack Flaherty and they still don't have enough people. And if they didn't trade for him, they'd really be stranded with two starting pitchers. Like Landon Knack's not that great. The Mets beat him up. He's like just starting his career, kind of like more of an opener and starter probably in the playoffs, and the Mets got to him, and they did get to the Dodgers bullpen in game two. But other than that, the Dodgers bullpen's been basically clean like, the whole series, which is definitely problematic, as well as they played against the Padres too. You wonder if like eventually it's gonna give up, but like the only time it has so far is game two.
Absolutely. And for me, for the Mets, I think the one thing that's kind of been unusual, Carlos Mendoza's done such a great job managing the team. He's hit all the right buttons, but this series, you want to argue about, playing Francisco Alvarez while he's in a slump. You want to talk about, I look at yesterday with Brandon Nimmo. He's clearly in a lot of pain. Why isn't he DHing? You can play Winker in left field. You can play,
Yeah,
Bader in center field, and those guys aren't getting enough playing time or necessary at bats to stay warm in the series, and that's very unfortunate for what they've been able to do this series.
yeah, that's a good point with Nemo. It's unfortunate timing with his injury, of course. I know Alvarez could possibly use the day. The Yankees did it with Austin Wells, and it kind of worked because Trevino did get a hit, but again, he ran himself off the bases. Wells comes in, strikes out twice, so not great for Austin still. Hopefully, he gets it going and does more of what we saw at Somerset for the Yankees right now. That's what they need, but and the second half of the season. I think there's a lot of things going on, like lots of different factors. Could you play Torrance for a game? I guess I wouldn't hate it because Alvarez's at bats are looking really bad, unfortunately. I think Winker should definitely be playing. I thought they should have used him a little bit more than they have been. He did have the big home run against Philly. He does seem like he enjoys the postseason moment a little bit. He gives them a different look from the left side a little bit too. Hopefully he's in there today. I'll be interested to see. I don't know if they did the lineup. Yeah, maybe I missed it.
I didn't see it yet. I don't think they posted it yet. I mean, they've been kind of mum on the starter too. I assume it's going to be David Peterson because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm happy that they chose to do that instead of going with Kodak Senga again. I mean, speaking of playing with fire, that's playing with fire. The guy's barely pitched all year, and it worked out against Philly because he just gave up the leadoff homer. But it did not work out against the Dodgers the first time around, obviously.
yeah,
And you can't put him on the starting mounds like with the season on the line because he hasn't pitched this year at all, really. You
yeah,
have to, if you're going to use him, let him throw out of the bullpen, maybe if Peterson's as well. But they made the right decision on starting him again today.
yeah. I mean, he's still in March mode. I mean, he's still like someone said, like Smoltz said it yesterday. He's still in spring training mode at this point. So it's tough to throw a guy out there in that point in the year. So, I mean, it's been a great run for the Mets. All that's been involved with Grimace and the OMG. We got the OMG song. I'm sure that Jose Iglesias is going to have his own, record label by the end of this, by Christmas or something. He's going to have his own Christmas a CD or something come out. I don't know, but it's been a fun year. But man, you hate to see it end like this. That's what I'm saying. Look, just get out of Citi Field. Show some fight like you did. Do what the Met team did back in '99, where you had Robin Ventura hit a grand slam single, and you got that series out of Shea Stadium. Just get out of Citi Field. So if the Dodgers win, they can do it at their own place.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the Mets fans and the team go out on a high note at home because they've had some rough losses out there. I think David Peterson can go like maybe 4 and 5, give up like 2 or 3, keep him in it maybe even a little bit better. I don't know if they'll stretch him to 6 because he hasn't really made a full start this postseason. If he's flowing well, maybe the bullpen's definitely they have their high leverage guys for the most part because I don't think they used too many of them yesterday, but Diaz will be available for 2+, I would assume, if it's needed. So we're gonna have maybe Senga bridges the gap depending on the situation. Maybe he throws an inning or two opposed to starting, which I think is better for him. But the Dodgers do have a lot of lefties, so Peterson pitching isn't bad. I don't know if Freddie's going to play. It's definitely hurtful for them, but they were fine without him yesterday. The thing is, the Dodgers hitting has so much depth. Like their bench is all experienced. Like Chris Taylor's been there before.
Yeah.
Kike Hernandez at the bottom of the lineup's been there before, and he actually plays way better than he does in the regular season in October. It seems like he's one of those guys, I guess. But and Flaherty's been really good too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. He had one bad start against San Diego, who's really good against the Mets in Game 1. So we'll see what he has today. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Flaherty's tough though. Definitely a good pitcher.
Very good pitcher. I was very surprised by how good he was against the Mets in Game 1. I mean, he just shut him out. He had a no hitter going through like 4 or 5 innings. I mean, he was really good. Um, the Dodgers just have too much experience. I mean, Otani and Max Muncy, another one of those grinders that's in the middle of that lineup. I mean, he could be the NLCS MVP if they don't give it to Otani. Betts, of course, we all know what Mookie's done with the Red Sox on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's just too much to handle right now, I think, for a beat up Met team.
Yeah, the Dodgers are they're not just top heavy because they have depth too, and then Teoscar Hernandez hasn't even done that much yet. That's another
Yeah.
guy that could wake up. Muncy's really playing great. He's like the 3 outcome guy to walk, strike out, a home run, but it works really well for them. And he has a ridiculously good eye, and he's on fire right now. So that's a problem as well,
Yeah.
and he's been there before, like we said. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. We'll see. The Mets need Lindor, Alonso, and Vientos. Vientos has to continue to lead. Those three have to continue to lead the offense for the Mets if they're going to be successful.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking with Julian Guilarte of Dugout Station. Of course, he does such a great job covering all baseball, minor league, major league. Let's talk about the Yankees here a little bit. Obviously, just kind of I saw an interesting stat saying that the last back in 2009, the Yankees lost Game 3 of the ALCS in extra innings, by the way, and ended up winning that series. You all know they went on to win the World Series. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button just yet. Let's just say even if they come out of this 2-2, right? Let's just say they're going to a situation where they're going to have a Game 6. I don't think there's reason to panic because I think that the way things are happening for the Yankees with Soto hitting, starting to get hot. Stanton has been scorching hot all postseason, and looks like Judge is starting to get rolling. You have to feel confident that this team can figure it out, even if it has to go back to Yankee Stadium against Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't want them to go back, obviously. Like I went to Game 2 and I was like, we're not coming back to New York. Hopefully, I felt like it was going to be a 4 or 5 game series after Game 2. I think 5 is definitely still possible. I mean, it's the only way to end it without going back to New York now. But I didn't. I figured they'd probably at least get a game out there, though. Like realistically speaking, it's just the way they won was really frustrating because like they had the Yankees down the whole game. Then you get Judge and Stan against the best closer in the league, and you're like, Yankees are set. They hit Clase, it's done. But not so fast, unfortunately. They couldn't tack on more in that 9. Like Torres was the only one who was able to drive in a run, and he's had a good October as well. But they need to tack on more, and they couldn't do it. And then Luke Weaver is getting exposed. It seems like the Guardians have something on Luke Weaver because that's back-to-back outings with bombs. Should they not have used him up before? Maybe you could debate that decision now, looking at how yesterday played out. At the time, I thought it was fine, but maybe they are getting too many looks at him now, and like the book is out on him, like how to beat him because he was so hot for a while. Um, and then yesterday, just that home run from Big Christmas was ridiculous to tie the game. And then Clay Holmes, I felt like I wasn't feeling good because like he hadn't given up a run yet, and I felt like he was kind of due for a bad outing. And it
Yeah.
all just came together at the wrong time. And he also hasn't been pitching in the high leverage spots with the game tied. He's been going in like the sixth or the seventh or sometimes the eighth. Now he's back into that de facto closer role, even though it wasn't a save. He needs to keep the game right where it was. And obviously he couldn't do it. David Fry's had a good playoff as well. He had a huge home run against the Tigers too. And that's another guy that's a little bit tough off their bench. So they have belief now. They won a game, even though the Yankees got to Class A. They didn't do a good enough job getting after Matt Boyd. There was a few jams they should have got more from, and Matt Boyd's definitely very hit or miss. So the Guardians have turned him around somehow. So I got to give credit to that.
Mm.
And then today, Luis Hill hasn't pitched in a while. Gavin Williams hasn't pitched in a while for the Guardians. So
Mm.
it's going to be a little interesting to see what both guys have. So could they be wild? Will they not be as sharp? Like will they be throwing too hard? Like these are things we're gonna have to watch early. And then I think Marcus Stroman's in position to piggyback Hill. He hasn't pitched in a while either.
Yeah.
And there's probably going to be a short leash on Hill today. So I think Stroman gets the ball if he only goes like 2 to 4 innings, let's say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's for both teams. I think it's you really want to see both of these guys at least get into the fourth inning. At least give yourself a better chance to win the game. You don't, because especially when you're coming off of extra innings, in this case even regular season, but really in postseason, you're kind of stretched thin now, right? And the Yankees have thrown a lot of innings out of their bullpen in this postseason, and only three starters. Yeah, I think it could go one of two ways. Either Heel does a you can either have Heel and Strowman just do a great job picking back off one another, or it's just a hang with them. If you're down, maybe you throw Strowman out there, he gets rocked, and you just say, just please eat these innings for us, and we'll move on.
Yeah, it's gonna be like very hit or miss for both of them. Like if the Yankees have both of them pitching well, it's definitely a win for sure because we haven't seen them both in a long time. We don't know what's gonna happen with either one of them. Stroman at least has that ground ball aspect that like can help him out if he's in a jam. Luis Hill's more of a little fly ball pitcher, like kinds of sometimes, I guess, but like Stroman doesn't strike people out though, which is concerning in the playoffs. And Hill does have that going for him. But Stroman's commands and control, I feel like haven't been as good as I would have thought this season. I feel like he should have been more efficient. So Gavin Williams is a complete wild card. Really hasn't been that great, but he was a highly touted prospect. You never know if he could have a good outing. Like sometimes he might show up. I put out some stats like after my recap of that. He's thrown like 76 innings, like 79 Ks, like 4.86 ERA on the year. So it's nothing great, obviously, but like he does strike out a batter per inning. He does have some good stuff. So like it's not like the Yankees should take him lightly. Like we need to be ready to hit him early.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Let's play this forward. Yankees find a way to win this series, whether it be 5 or 6 games. How do you feel about this Yankee rotation? Because, Garrett Cole's pitched okay. I mean, he hasn't been
Yeah.
stellar. It's been that kind of year for him this year. We already talked about Heel and Stroman kind of picking back off each other as bullpen mates in a way. And then, of course, you have Schmidt starting at game 3 potentially, and then obviously Carlos Rodon, who's been hit or miss. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this Yankee rotation going into a potential World Series with LA?
I think it's in a good spot still. I'm just like, I'm definitely a little bit worried about the stability of it because Garrett Cole needs to be better. Let's just call that out right now. Like 2 starts were not too good. His strikeout pitch isn't there, which is really concerning to me. Like even in the Royals outing, he only had 4 Ks in like 7 innings. So like he needs to get that strikeout pitch working. His command was awful against the Guardians too. He walked like 4 batters, which is not Cole like at all.
Yeah.
So he needs to be a lot better going forward if he pitches again in this series or if that is the World Series. It's like the Yankees aren't going to get anywhere if he's pitching like that. Carlos Rodon's a complete wild card. You never know what you're getting, but he was really good and then he was really bad for an inning.
Yeah.
So I feel like he might be in a good spot now. Could he just string together like two or maybe three more good ones? Like that would be fantastic. But there could be a bad one mixed in. You never know. He might get too hyped during the World Series, like he did in the DS. Like, but he did a lot better controlling himself in the CS. So
Yeah. I mean,
hopefully he can keep that going.
the good thing is he hasn't walked anybody in the playoffs. I mean, he has no walks to 16 strikeouts. I mean, he can't ask for more than that. I mean, you just got to hope that continues, obviously.
That's true. I mean, if you look at it, he really just had one bad inning. There
Yeah.
was three really good innings, and then he had a wall like Perez homer, who like had really good success against him prior, and then he kind of just unraveled with some small stuff, and then like he just wasn't sharp and he couldn't get through the inning. But that is a good point. 16-0 is a great ratio. Anyone would sign up for that. With Clark Schmidt, he's been good. He hasn't been bad. He hasn't been great. Like he's been in the middle so far. Like he's had very similar outings both times, like 4 2/3, like 2 runs, which is good enough. It keeps him in it. Would you like to see more? Probably like to see if he gets to 5 or 6. He didn't really strike anyone out last time. He only had 2 Ks. The Guardians are tough to strike out, though. I know they're like one of the lower rate teams in the league. I think they might rank 27th in all of MLB, maybe. So it's not an easy team to strike out. Steven Kwan is the epitome of that. The guy battles every at bat, battles
Yeah.
off tough pitches. So like he'll keep going until he gets that single or that double or something. And it's tough to pitch against him in big situations. Obviously, Jose Ramirez is exceptional. Manzaro showed up yesterday. Naylor's been quiet, but they might. But he did have a few hits off Cole. No home runs yet. Big Christmas obviously had a huge swing last night, but he hasn't been
I think it
too.
landed in Cincinnati just now. I don't know.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like you knew it right away. Like I was really nervous when he stepped up because like that is the type of guy to do damage with one swing, and that's all you need. Like that's plays into exactly what he wants to do. So like that's a tough guy to have to not to get out in a situation like that. And David Fry wasn't as majestic, but it got the job done, obviously. And Clay Holmes just had a rough ending, unfortunately. And I think there's like, and Jimenez and Rocchio are starting. Rocchio's been great. Jimenez is like starting to wake up a little bit. That one play he made yesterday to get, I think it was Chisholm at first, or Volpe
Mhm.
was ridiculous. I forgot the runner, but you definitely know the play I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
What he did to Span and the nail stayed on the bag. Yeah.
I think what happened was Luis Castillo came by the ghost of Luis Castillo said, "Boo!" Like what? Oh,
Yeah, that drop for Rocchio was pretty nuts in game two. I
it
wasn't
was.
expecting that. And then the guards bullpen is still really good, but they got the best pitcher yesterday. So Yankees bullpen has to reshuffle and regroup a little bit. I'm curious how they'll approach it today with Stroman. Um, Ian Hamilton getting hurt is not great. I
Yeah,
don't know what they're gonna do with that. No, you can't replace him mid-series. I don't think,
yeah.
unless I don't know. Could you for an injury? Maybe there's an injury exception mid-series. I'm
Maybe
not
there may be
entirely
an
sure.
exception. I'm not sure. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know what they would do though, like who they would even use. Nestor's not ready yet. I think he's gonna try to be good for the World Series if they
yeah.
make the World Series, which is possible. Jake Cousins hasn't pitched much. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him tonight. I could definitely do less of Tim Mesa, that's for sure. But we'll see how it all unfolds.
We'll see. I mean, I guess the last thing to talk about the Yankees is just kind of Aaron Judge just figuring it out. I mean, that home run was incredible. I mean, it just kept carrying and it barely got over the wall, but that
Yeah,
just set the entire dugout on fire. I mean, it looks like he's ready to start rolling right now. I mean, if he starts rolling, man, watch out, not just Cleveland, but also LA. I mean, here comes the Judge, literally.
yeah, I mean that home run yesterday was ridiculous. I didn't think it was gonna be high enough because it was hit so hard, and then it just kept going. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I guess we'll get out here. Like it was a wall scraper, not because it wasn't hit hard, but because it was a line drive that was hit pretty low. But that was a great swing along the way. Just goes to right field like he always does. And Giancarlo Stan is going so well. He's hitting bombs to center field. Like once he starts using the whole field, like it's over for the opponents. Like once he starts doing center and right, like it's a bad sign for the other teams.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see. I mean, the Yankees right now, if they can keep hitting like this, obviously you mentioned earlier you love to see like Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe and even Rizzo kind of join the fun a little bit here, and try to get this thing moving. But it's all gonna be about pitching at the end of the day. As far as the series is concerned, I like where the Yankees are as far as their matchup with Cleveland, and I think it's going to set up for an amazing World Series if we get LA Yankees. But it's hard to believe 12th time that these two teams will have played in the World Series.
I know it's been a really long time too. Um, so that would really bring back a lot of memories for some people that watched back then. Obviously, before our time, because
Yeah,
it's been like the '80s, but it is a story rivalry. It's something that people have wanted for several years when these teams have both been at the top, but for whatever reason, it's never happened. Like Dodgers make it in 17, Yankees were right there. I thought that could have been the year for it. 2020 Dodgers make it. Yankees don't even come close in that weird season. And ever since then, there hasn't really been a close call for it because the Dodgers haven't returned and the Yankees have just been getting stones in the ALCS. So this might be the time to see it happen. And if it does happen, it's going to be could be one of the best World Series that we've seen in quite some time.
could be. It'll make up for last year's World Series, Texas and Arizona.
Yeah, the MLB needs a ratings rebound. I can't even imagine how bad they were for those two teams. Obviously, I'm gonna watch because like I want to watch all the games, even if it's like two teams that aren't in desirable markets. But
Yeah,
that was an interesting one. Yeah,
yeah, it was the. All right, Julian. Again, I appreciate man for coming aboard here on Fox and Road and talking with us about some baseball as always. Just tell us more about what you're up to. I because I know you're also doing a little more than also Dugout Station. Go ahead.
yeah. So me and Sandy are still working together with Dugout Station. We're churning out some highlights and content to the games. So we've been doing that. Um, I'm doing Latino sports. I've been writing a few Mets games here and there, but it's probably done at this point because we have someone in LA if it goes back there. And then World Series will probably have other people. I might be doing a Yankees piece tonight, depending if they need me to do it tonight. So I'll figure that out. I've done a few Yankees road games too. Like I wrote about some of the games in Kansas City, and then like the first rounds I was doing like some of the pre recaps of like the wild card and like games in Philly a little bit. So then I'm still working on World Baseball, writing with dome recaps, like doing International Player of the Week, like trying to get some player interviews during the off season for the stories, writing purposes. So that's what's going on with me. That's how you can find all my information.
Absolutely. There you go, folks. Man, be busy, man. I mean, we all are right now at this time of the year. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I know.
Keep
I'm happy to be busy after last year having basically a vacation in October. So this is definitely a nice change of pace. We'll see what more these teams can provide. And if the Mets want to keep playing and the Yankees 3-1, is it going to be 2-2? And then you got to sweat a little bit. I mean, we'll see. And I do like that you brought up Soto before. I feel like he's due for something too. I want to see what Soto has for us tonight.
He's due. He's due. He's watched these other two guys have a little too much fun. He's like, wait a minute. I'm the guy who's gonna make 700 $8 million this winter.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
gotta get the winter meeting started right here. I'm gonna knock the flame out of here.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. We'll see how that goes, and it's gonna be a war between Yankees and Mets for Soto. So that's gonna be something.
There's your Subway Series right there. Ain't gonna be
That
one.
might be the Subway Series, not the World Series that we were thinking. But
All right, man. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you a little later.
thank you. Have a good one, bro.
All right.